we've got a Mars window coming up in 19 days. Yeah, I actually pressed the button. There was about a 2-second delay, which could have been a nightmare if we'd have been about to hit. So note to self, be aware of that. Right, this is going to be our final passenger. I've basically thrown everything at this. It's got a heat shield, it's got retro engines, it's got parachutes, it's got drogue chutes, it's got everything. Right, as you may be able to see in the top left of the screen, we've got a Mars window coming up in 19 days, so I'm actually going to put some craft into orbit waiting for that. We're going to put up Mars Horizon 1, which is what we're launching here, and then we're also going to put up Mars Dawn 1, which is not a mission we actually have to land on Mars, but I thought we'll give it a go anyway. So I'm going to get this up, and I shall see you in orbit, hopefully with this, and possibly with the other craft. Right, that's our first craft into orbit. That is the Mars Horizon 1. You can see we've gone for the bigger dish. We've gone for the RA-15 instead of anything else. So this gives us the ability to basically complete any of those comms contracts that we've got on there. We've gone for a simplified little tube there with solar panels each side. One thing I've just realized, those solar panels are going to break if we detach them at the wrong time. So I'm going to have to wait until they're orientated correctly. Otherwise, they will actually just snap off, won't they? Yeah, that's a note to self. Don't do that. What we're going to do is I'm actually going to put it on its prograde. There we go. Because these panels do not spin the way I want them to. So we'll do it that way. So they will at least, hopefully, let's have a think. I want to put it on prograde and I want to roll it. So it's there. That's where I want it to be. There we go. And so as it goes round, it will actually be able to track the sun. Good. Right. Let's get the next one up. And again, with another light launch, we have pretty much the same vehicle again. This is the Dawn craft, the Mars Dawn 1. So this is going to be hopefully our lander. I've basically thrown everything at this. It's got a heat shield, it's got retro engines, it's got parachutes, it's got drogue chutes, it's got everything. So we'll get this into orbit and then see about sending both of them off to Mars. So we're just about to do our final bit of our burn to get into orbit here, and I thought I'd show you the craft while we're waiting. You can see it's basically got our Venus landing bottom section here with the heat shield. Then on top we've got basically what looks like the Venus landing thing, apart from the fact we've added a couple of more science experiments on. So we've added atmospheric and we've added the seismic thing, which we've just got, moved some of the others around. We've got a couple of drogue chutes on there, a main chute. I'm not actually sure. This is a little test. We don't have a mission yet to go to Mars and land on Mars, so it's worth doing. We've got a little fuel tank in there with 4 of the little twitch engines, which should give us a lot of thrust. And then I thought I'd try these little pads. I've never used them before. These little grip pads. I'm not sure if they work on surfaces or what. I'm not entirely sure. We put them on a couple of little sticks there. And so the idea is this thing goes through the atmosphere, then we decouple the heat shield, the parachutes deploy, the engines fire, everything is good. Probably be a good idea if we fired the engines to get it into orbit though. That would be a wonderful idea. Right. So this thing it's got plenty of delta V once it's up there. It should be able to make its way nicely to Mars, and hopefully in 18 days that will happen once we get it into orbit. So that's that. We're also going to do pretty much the same thing for Vesta. I'm going to put up the craft for Vesta separate and just show you them in orbit, because you don't need to see they're basically the same as the Mars craft but without parachutes. Well, for the lander anyway. Right, we're just going to put Vesta Dawn into orbit, and I thought we'd show you the difference between the two crafts. So we put Vesta Horizon 1 into orbit already. It's just sat in 100 kilometer orbit. Vesta Dawn 1 is pretty much the Mars Dawn craft, but we've cut the number of engines down in half. I don't know why I've got an atmospheric thing on it. I suppose technically I don't know if Vesta has an atmosphere, but we know it doesn't. We've taken the heat shield off. We've basically stripped it down a bit of mass. Just to go that extra distance. We've reduced the engines just so that it doesn't overpower, because Vesta is pretty weak on the old power. And that's about it. I think it's pretty much the same craft. Oh, we've got rid of the parachutes. That's the other thing we've done. And we should probably get this thing into orbit. And then we can look at getting them to depart. And once they've departed, then we're back to our moon tour, hopefully, and getting our final crewman, crew person that is in orbit in that high altitude. I think the next ones we're going to get offered are probably going to be around other planetary bodies, and we'll have to see about that. If they're around the moon, I do not have a problem with that. If they're around Mars and Venus, that's a bigger problem, isn't it? So let's see, we're going to come up now and we're going to be in our orbit. There we go, perfect, wonderful. Well, it's close enough. Right. We're going to rotate the craft just a smidgen. So we've got our solar panels just on the normals. Actually, it's a bit more like that, isn't it? There we go. Bit like that. There we go. That's better. Right, so they should be able to rotate around, keep us powered. We've also got these solar panels on the front as well, just in case. I don't think we've got any science we can do now. We've got two science things to do. We will probably do one in that. Well, actually, we'll do one just in sphere of influence. Possibly I'll do both on the ground. I don't know. It depends how much delta V we have. We might do some biome hopping or something. I don't know what this craft will be capable for. So we're up with Mars 1 Horizon. We have got a 2 maneuver transfer set up. So our first maneuver will get us out into the sort of the swing flyby almost of Mars. The second maneuver will actually align the planes because we're out by about 1.5 degrees. We could try and do a little bit something clever here. The transfer planner that works this out doesn't, I think, take into account the fact that you're in inclination and stuff like that. So we have to do a little bit of maneuvering around with that. I'm not sure it really likes the setup of this, so we'll give this a go. We'll see how it goes. Let's do it. Let's find out how this thing works. So we're gonna time warp along. We're gonna get ourselves into the right position. Time warp along. The burn is about a minute. So we'll do this and then we can set up the second burn and things like that. And it should be pretty easy. The good thing is it does mean we've got another burn before we can actually refine this. It means we can hopefully get this thing in at a nice sort of angle. I don't know whether I want it equatorial. I don't know whether I want it sort of polar. It is going to be communication, so maybe equatorial would be useful. Put it into a high equatorial orbit. We'll have a think about that once it's arrived. Right, 37 seconds. We're going to time warp you just a smidgen, get it going up there. 20 seconds, 10 seconds, slow it down, get ready, fire the engine. This stage we'll do all of this transfer. Wonderful, which means we've got plenty of fuel to do our plane change later on, which is great. It means we've got loads of fuel to just mess around in the Mars system. We could send this craft out to the moons of Mars and do some stuff there. It could potentially land on them as well, actually. I believe it has the thrust to do that. In fact, anything pretty much has the thrust to do that. You think you can do it with RCS. We can speed this up just a smidgen. There we go. Get it going on. We're not too worried about the accuracy just now. I just want to get it nearby. And of course, we've got the ability to stay on the maneuver node now, which is wonderful. Slow it down again. And then we can just, what we'll do is we'll go until we get nearby and then we'll cut it. And then I'll just, nope, there we go. We've got too far. Too far, sea monsters. Because this thing is just, this engine, once this tank starts to get empty, this thing is really quite thrusty. Turn it around, please. Right, we'll do this burn, fix it out. Let's have a look. And then we'll do we'll mark the next burn off. And then we shall do the same with the next craft as well, and we'll get them all on the way. We'll get all the Mars crafts, all the Vesta crafts on the way, and then we can try and get back to that Moon Tour 2. Right, so I'll just do a little bit of this here, and then there we go. That's perfect. I love that. Right, there we go. And then that means we've got that there, which is an encounter. What's the encounter going to look like now? It's not brilliant. So we're gonna remark that, and I will mark that up. We'll put it on. It'd be nice. One of the nice things about MechJeb is actually you can put a marker basically where the where the transfer is going to be. What we'll do is we'll wait until this is actually out of the sphere of influence, just in case we get any jumping around. We'll mark that for a sphere of influence, post sphere of influence thing. There we go. That's going to be out in 2 days, which gives us time to do the others. And about, what, 5-10 minutes after our last departure, we have our next departure. So this is Mars Dawn 1, little test craft. I don't know if this is actually gonna make it to the surface. I think it'll make it, obviously it'll slow down a bit, but whether the parachutes work, whether we have enough delta V for landing, I don't know. That landing stage is 700 meters per second. So if the parachutes don't slow us down, or the atmosphere doesn't slow us down, I don't think we have the energy, the ability to do it. But hopefully they will. Hopefully we can do something. Equally, this top stage could actually probably do the braking burn on its own. Looking at the amount of delta V it's going to have, it should be able to do it. Now, interestingly, this stage, because this is a differently designed craft, we've got a bigger upper stage here. This stage is actually going to burn out doing this transfer pretty much. We're going to have a little bit of delta V left. So we'll probably just decouple after we've done the burn and then leave this bit here to do it, which is actually probably a better design. if I'm honest, than the other one where I've actually shortened this tank, I think, at the top. Oh, there's a bit of interesting fighting going on there. What's going on there? That's obviously a that's actually partly overlapping. Now I've not seen that for a while. That's normally like an RP1 RSS sort of glitch for scaling, but we don't really do scaling in this one because it's all stock size. That's interesting. Horrible little bit of Z fighting there. I wonder what caused that. Interesting. Right, we're just gonna let it go forward, and there we go. Slow it down. And then we'll just finish our thrust. Now, interestingly, this one I was setting maneuver up. I set the maneuver up, I just guesstimated the distance out, and then I put a maneuver on the inclination and the ascending node to do my inclination change, just to see where we're going to end up. And we actually got an encounter straight away. It was staggering. It was. I was not expecting. All right, 7 meters per second. You know what? It'd be rude to keep that on, wouldn't it? There we go. Right, let's have a look. How are we doing? Is that going to be, yeah, that's still going to put us somewhere near. So good. So we'll do that. We'll put that into another one. There we go. So we've got horizon, then dawn is, oh, a little bit after actually. That's like an hour. That's interesting. I didn't expect that. I think what we'll do now is we'll go to the Vesta missions and we'll get those on the way. But I'm not going to show you too much. In fact, I'm not going to show you those. I'm just going to do them and get on with it. Our first departure of a Vesta craft is going to be Vesta Horizon 1. We've put in a maneuver. It's getting us close, but I'm going to do an inclination change after we get out of the sphere of influence of Earth. So we can actually put an inclination change in here, and hopefully that'll allow us just to close that up a little bit. It is quite a distance, but we'll have a look. We'll see what we can do. Oh, have we lost something? Have we lost it? Oh, we lost our thing. Says target, right? Let's put a thing there. Add maneuver. Right, so if we did that and then we did like a bit of this or a bit of that, you can see we can get it close. So we can bring it down. We can also make it get further away. But yes, that's something we can do. But it's easier once we've actually got the craft going on and doing stuff there. Get rid of that. Target that again. There we go. Right. I'm going to do that burn, and then we will, when we get to our inclination change there, we'll do the burn there, which is not the ideal way of doing it, but yeah, well, we've got the fuel. It's the Kerbalish way to do it, isn't it? Right. Get that going. Let's get going. So we're going to, only a couple of minutes to go there. We were actually quite tight on our time. We're going to get this thing in, and again, we've got a lot of fuel on this. A decent delta V on this top stage because we've taken the fuel tank and reduced it. We've actually got extra fuel on this stage. So this stage is going to be able to do this and probably the inclination change. This will just do the capture. And it'll be interesting to see how much it is, because it's odd for me playing this versus RP1 in a normal real scale solar system, because actually Vesta and Syria are the ones that, for example, don't take much more delta V than Mars to get to, but actually capturing at them is an awful lot more of an effort. So this will be an interesting one for me to see just what it's like in this version. So there we go. We're about to go and firing the engines. There we are. A little bit of a jump there. Now, interestingly, this one does not have that problem. I suppose we did swap the tanks around though. So that tank used to be up here and this tank down there. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right. It is a bigger burn. It's like 1,400, and then we're going to have that refinement burn later on. Once we can actually capture round Vesta though, we can do inclination changes and stuff. So it's just about getting into the sphere of influence. I don't need to put it into, you know, polar or equatorial too quickly. I can sit it there. We're just basically going for science. We've got a couple of science capsules on there for the biological stuff, and we've got the usual equipment on board. And of course we're going to send ideally a lander as well. Again, we don't have a mission to put a lander there. So we're actually going ahead of time with that. We may just sit in orbit. The annoying thing is the lander mission actually states that it needs to be a new vessel, I think. Some of them do, some of them don't. The ones I've seen so far on this are new vessels for landing. So you can't just send a lander, which annoys me a little bit, because I'm sort of like, well, you know, give me the option to do it then. If we were going to one of these things, in real life, let's be entirely honest, if we were going to one of these things, I would probably put a lander on the craft, because it would just make logical sense if we're going that far anyway. For something that has such low delta V for landing as I'm thinking this has, I'm guessing it has, because it's a lot lower mass than, say, Mars, you would send a lander. It doesn't have an atmosphere, which is actually a negative for landing a lander, because we could just put a little heat shield on and then just smash it into the atmosphere. Yeah, we will. I think Triton has a small atmosphere. I'll have to check whether it does on this version. And things like Titan have atmospheres. We're just going to put something in with a heat shield in for those, and that will be it. That'll be us done for it. Right, there we go. That's out there, and we do have our closest approach, which is nice. That's a good one. We'll add that in 1 minute away. There we go. And then we've just got Vesta Dawn to go. So I'm going to show you a little tricky trick. And this is one of the things I quite like about if we send multiple craft to the same location and we don't have MechJeb calculating our departure windows and things. You can see we've got these two craft here going to Mars. There are the Mars ones. This track here, if you can see it, this is the Vesta Horizon track. Now, I spent a bit of time getting the position right on the orbit and walking it round and then doing stuff like that. So I don't want to have to do that again. So what I can actually do is I can just come in here. I can put a marker down where that actually leaves the orbit, because we're still on the same orbit path in effect. The planet hasn't really moved. We come out here. And I'm going to go, right, I want to target, not Mars, I want to target Vesta. There we go. And then all I can do is I can just do a bit of this. I can pull this out all the way to the Vesta point. And then, there we go. We can't yet see the track out there, can we? That's interesting. So what I could then do is I could actually just do that. I could burn that as it is. I know it's about right. Alternatively, I can actually look on here and go, oh, it's got a normal of -14. So I can actually go in here and go -14, 114. There we go, done. How does that affect it? It's not too bad. I can also just check Vesta. Let's have a look. It has 1429. So as it's program burn, 14. I can actually change that to 29. Right, we're just going to start our burn now. There we go. Get that underway. One thing I could do actually is the big change I could have made with this one is actually changing where we do our departure burn, because I may not have got that right, and some of these things are very picky. I just did that very quickly, but you can see you can always bring it back. Basically, this thing is going to use most of this stage for the departure. In fact, it's going to use all of it. Then we'll move on to this upper stage, which is a big upper stage. So this is a chunky upper stage. We used a smaller one for the Mars one, didn't we? So chunky upper stage, it will do a lot of stuff, and this thing is basically going to it's going to do most of the landing. It's going to do the capture, the landing, everything for us, which is fine. We don't mind that. It's going to be easy. Got the solar panels, got everything going. It's wonderful. Right, let's have a look how we're doing. 500, 450, 400. We could do a little bit. Oh, we're escaping the sphere of influence now. According to this, we now are going to escape the sphere of influence. We have 200 to go, and it's getting a little wobbly, which is interesting. Of course, we're going to have to stage at this point, which is quite nice. There we go. Which gives us a bit more sort of control on this, which is quite a nice bit. Actually, I'm quite happy we've got that. Right, do that. I'm actually going to let it resettle, and then we'll just do a little bit of this. And when it gets below 1, the tracking will stop, and there we go. Oh, perfect, wonderful. Right, and then we've got, woof, that's a big burn, 1000. Ooh, that might be a problem. We don't need the lander anyway. Just remember that. That's why we did it. We're not in a mass hurry for the lander. To be fair, the lander's got 1,000 meters per second on board. I don't think it takes anywhere near that to land. So yeah, I think we've probably got enough delta V. In fact, we can put that up to there, can't we? There we go. Right, we'll add this on, and we are ready to get these things out of the sphere of influence, I think. And after all of those craft have left the sphere of influence, we are back with our moon tour mission. It's been spinning around for what, 40 days, something like that. Approaching, you can see it's encroaching on that missing pilot we're going to try and grab. You can see we've got the Vesta Dawn, Vesta Horizon. They're going to hit their inclination change and things like that in about 20 days. We can jump to that when we get to it. And then we've got the Mars Dawn and Mars Horizon in about 160. It's very close actually to its to the point at which it will be actually close to Mars. So it's interesting that the actual, because it's only an inclination change we need for those, it's actually quite cheap, whereas the Vesta one, not as easy. Right, we're going to get on with this, get the alarm going, get close as we can. Right, we're going to be watching down here at the closest approaches. We're going to see what we're doing. I suppose we can go whenever we want, really, can't we? Because it's not an issue. Hello. Have we got engine? Oh, the engine is actually running. It's just really quiet. I suppose in space no one can hear your engine run. All right, we're just going to do that. It's got 2 seconds. There we go. Can we see any changes? We've got kilometers dropping there, haven't we? Yes, we do. So that's 200, 250, 100, 190, 140, 90. Should have put RCS on this because RCS would have made it easier. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. We've got so much delta V on this, it should be not a problem. It's 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Is it going to make it lower than that? I can't remember what we're aiming for. Do little bursts. Oh, now it's actually reading the delta V. Oh, we've got to go turn it around, turn us around, turn us all the way around. Is this a? Yeah, it's on the thing, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is. What on earth is this? Just going round as we go round? It literally is, isn't it? Follow the arrow. No, the arrow. Yeah, we're just gonna go closer. That's the easiest thing. Right, we'll walk to here. In a day, that's fine. Right, you can see we're closing up, and then what we can actually do is we can actually put a little maneuver here, can't we? Put a little maneuver there, and we can actually get it closer. Not like that though. Not like that. I quite like the fact that because we just created it, we can target it, but before that you can't have a maneuver node of 0.5 and target it. It's a bit of an odd one. Right, do that there, and within 30 meters. I am happy with that. Oh, it's doing that again. Oh, this is not fun. This is not fun. So we're going to look at the minute hand down there with the aim of getting somewhere near it. I don't know how close you have to be to get the pilot out. In my head, I want to say 250, but it's probably like 1.5k. We should be able to stop this craft in 2 minutes, which would be the aim, wouldn't it? A 2-minute burn on the nuclear engines is definitely going to do that amount of delta V. If it doesn't, got a problem. What's yeah, I think I'm all right with that. That feels okay to me. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good. We can actually physical time warp it. I mean, we're going to drift away from it because we are going to drift away from it. There we go. And then we just do that. Yeah, I actually pressed the button. There was about a 2-second delay, which could have been a nightmare if we'd have been about to hit. So note to self, be aware of that. Right, this is going to be our final passenger. And, oh, it's another one of these. Oh, the Winter Owl logo again. Ooh. Can you EV it? Actually, can I? Yeah, I want to turn this into rename. Rename, please. Debris. I'm glad you can actually rename it because it used to be that you could not rename them once you couldn't once they're out of power. I seem to remember that was an odd little glitch that there was. So we'll do that. We'll go there, and then pull it back. There we go. And then a tiny square of up. That one and board. Thank you. Wunderbar. Right, we are ready to go to the moon. Now, how do I get to the moon is the question. We're gonna have to put a maneuver node in. So set as target. Our inclination is absolutely horrendous. Well, we get an awful lot of encounters with the moon there, don't we? Ooh, it kicks us into a really interesting one, actually. So what's that? So we kick up. That's in 190 days. So that's that one. So this one here. So we come in like this. We come out. We go into another orbit. Is that this one? Must be this one. Is it? No, that's the... What on earth even is going on? That's in 12 days. We can do that. Let's do that. Let's do that burn now. Let's get that done. Ooh, and then we've got the Dawn and Horizon missions, which we'll probably save for next episode, actually. This might get itself to the moon in that time, though. So we might have a bit of a problem because we might have a load of stuff happening one after the other, which will be very annoying. I will be entirely honest with you. It will be very annoying if everything happens at once. Right, that's in 19 days. So we will add in the fact that we're going to have a sphere of influence change then. That's going to be right after, oh, it's actually ages away. It's after our Saturn departure window, which we will be going to. I have a craft ready. So I think we're probably going to end it there. Next time we've got the Vesta Dawn, Vesta Horizon, we've got the Moon Tour to finish off. We've got a Saturn departure. We might send up a Mercury mission. In fact, I'm probably going to use this sort of craft for a Mercury mission. We've got Mars Dawn, we've got Mars Horizon, we've got all those things to do. So if you want to see about us going to Vesta, you want to see about us going to Mars, you want to see us going to Mercury, you want to see us set off to Saturn, please like, subscribe, do all the things. And until then, have a great one. So if that was good for you, check out on the screen right now some links. You can see other videos you might like. Check out the channel, see if there's any playlists you like. There's also some links to other content creators there you might like. Or leave a comment down below. Like, subscribe, do all those things.